Excerpts from the Journal of Garrick, Enlightened Vowkeeper. Book 1, page 44. I leave tomorrow for Fort Halcyon to meet with the other acolytes. It has been 4 days since I've spoken with my father, and I assumed we would not talk again before I left. When I woke this morning, there was a note scrawled on a scrap of parchment along with a key. The note read, "You have much to learn, even in Westmar." Picking up the key, I knew what it was for. This was the key to the chest that contained the belongings to my great-grandfather. I don't remember anything of my great-grandfather. He died when I was very young. I know he trained in the Vanguard, and he fought in some long-forgotten battles. My grandfather and father spoke very little of him growing up. Whenever he was mentioned, there would be deflection followed by knowing glances that I only noticed in the last few years. I never pushed for much information, even though I desperately wanted it. The handful of letters I found from him that I stashed under my bed were quickly taken and put in his chest. There are few times I've ever seen my father so upset that when he found that, I discovered those letters. The chest sits in the root cellar, mostly hidden behind barrels. I've known it was there for years, and apparently my father also knew that I discovered the chest as well. I went immediately to the cellar with the key. I had no idea what I would find in that chest, but I can tell you my imagination was running wild. The chest itself is not very big, and despite the age, the wood is incredibly strong and heavy. I think it is made from cold wood, which would mean even the chest itself is valuable. Inside, I find letters I read several years ago and a journal. There was an honor mark there as well, signifying that this man was a hero. I sat for a moment, wondering why my grandfather and father seemed so ashamed even of the memory of this man. Then I found out why. Near the bottom of the chest, wrapped in some scraps of cloth, I felt something heavy and possibly metal. I leaped back when I realized it was warm to the touch, thinking there was a family of grain rats that moved in. After prodding a few times, I finally realized it was not a rodent and picked it up. I hesitate to even document this, but under the cloth was a magic gauntlet. Judging from the brimstones, it was a very powerful one, and the heat radiating from it must mean it was fire in nature. After looking at the beauty of the design for what felt like hours, I quickly wrapped the gauntlet back up and carefully placed it in the chest. I moved the chest back as far as I could in the cellar and stood for a moment thinking what to do next. I stacked barrel after barrel in front of it in an attempt to get as much distance as possible from my family's past. For the rest of the day, I avoided my father entirely, and I hid the key in my hide box below a floorboard in my room. Do I report this when I get to Fort Halcyon? The fact that this gauntlet exists and has not been turned over to the Vanguard is against the law and also heresy. Why did my father want me to know this now? Did he think this would make me not join the Vowkeepers, knowing that my great-grandfather used magic? I need sleep. Tomorrow starts a long trip to Fort Halcyon.